current affairs, just I'll brief you that how we are going to cover. Every Saturday we will be taking this week-long current affairs. We will be discussing them in a 3-hour long class. Okay. Now today also we'll be having this class, but since today is the first class, I would want to brief you first that what is the importance of current affairs in your syllabus, what should be the approach to study current affairs. That is the most important thing which we are going to discuss. And once you get that approach right, you can go with that approach for the entire year. Okay. Now, so we begin with this topic. You should first understand that where is current affairs in the syllabus? Where is it located in the syllabus? Now a one word answer for this question is it is located everywhere, almost everywhere. Okay. Now how almost everywhere? You might be wondering that we have not heard this before, but yes, it is present almost everywhere. I'll just tell you how. And first make out this thing that it is not present in CSAT. That is why I use the word almost everywhere. Okay. When I come to this general studies, now we are discussing stage 1, that is prelims. Okay. In prelims we have two papers, that is general studies and CSAT. General studies 200 marks, 100 questions are asked. Okay. Then in this general studies, there are 7 such subjects or 7 topics you can say. First is history, second geography, third science, then polity, current affairs, ecology, environment, and economics. Now, current affairs is linked to all these subjects. Current affairs is linked to all these subjects. How it is linked to all these subjects? Now, you might be wondering, I'll pick up one by one and I'll explain. You might be wondering that how current affairs is related with history. History is the thing of the past and current affairs are the events of the present. But yes, in UPSC there is some linkage because a vital portion of history is art and culture. And any cultural activity happening in the present day, or let's suppose from history there was this Indus Valley civilization, some I would say 3000 4000 years ago, and if a new site of Indus Valley civilization has been excavated, UPSC can ask questions from there. It is a current event, the excavation of a new site, and it is related to history, the art and culture of history and ancient history as well. So there the linkage between current affairs and history is established. So you have to look at these particular kind of news from this point of view that a question can be asked because it is a current event pertaining to history or pertaining to art and culture. Next is current affairs and geography. Geography is also kind of static subject which is considered to be by many of the aspirants, but there are many concepts in geography which keep on recurring. Let's suppose a new cyclone has come up in the Bay of Bengal region, so they may ask you the name of that cyclone. So you should be very much aware about it, and simultaneously you should also be aware about the basics of cyclone, how a cyclone is formed and how it progresses, in which direction it progresses. So this is how UPSC can ask questions. Then linking current affairs with science. Now when I talk about science, there is a very very important portion in science, that is space technology. Now if let's suppose ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, which is the government body which is responsible for managing the affairs of the space, it launches any new program, let's suppose it launches a new satellite or a new mission, UPSC can ask questions from there. UPSC can ask you the basics of the that particular project. It has asked questions from Mars orbiter mission when it was sent. So This is how you link. Another important portion of science and technology is defense. Let's suppose a new defense technology has been adopted by India. So for that technology it can ask. Another important is biotechnology or healthcare in science and technology. So if any new development in the biotechnological front, it can ask. So this is how the linkage is there between current affairs and science. The next is polity. The linkage between current affairs and polity, it can be established in such a way that, let's suppose the government has launched a new law or has passed a new law or has passed a new constitutional amendment act. So, you need to know the provisions of those acts or those laws. UPSC can ask you questions on the basis of those particular new laws or those amendments in the constitution or those amendments in the laws also. So this is how current affairs is linked with polity. Now, linking current affairs with environment, ecology and environment. Let's suppose a new species has been found or a new species has gone extinct. The UPSC can ask you questions from there. Let's suppose new international laws have been adopted. Let's suppose by a global organization like UN, and those laws are pertaining to environment conservation or controlling global warming. So current events with respect to ecology and environment can be linked in such way. You need to know the basics of all that. Then I talk about economy, linking current affairs and economy. So economy is very dynamic. It keeps on changing. The concepts keep on changing every day. New and new concepts come, and you need to be aware about everything. You need to be aware about the trend of the past years. So this is how you can link current affairs with economics. So current affairs per se is not a subject in itself. It is a subject, it is a topic, but it encompasses through all the subjects which you have to study. And we've seen this through an example with respect to each subject. And this is for prelims. Now one more thing you need to note here, that I have written that 100 questions are asked, 200 marks is the paper for. And these 100 questions, UPSC has not defined that it will be asking these many questions from a particular topic. Let's suppose from current affairs only, if I say, if it asks 10 questions in last year, it may have asked more number of questions in the previous years, it may ask more number of questions in the next year, it may ask less number of questions also. So it depends totally on UPSC, and that is why this word U in UPSC, technically it stands for union, but at times aspirants jokingly say that U stands for unpredictable. And one of the reasons for it being unpredictable is that any number of questions from any topic can be asked. Now, this 2016 prelims paper was dominated by current affairs. According to some estimates, in 2016, 70 to 80% of questions were from current affairs. 70 to 80% means 70 to 80 questions out of 100 questions were from current affairs. But the years before 2016 and the years after 2016, these many questions were not there. So you have to be prepared that in prelims section 10 to 15 questions minimum will be asked from current affairs, and you have to read it holistically. The best part is that you have to read it daily. Why I am saying that you have to read it daily, I'll just be discussing briefly. Now I come to the second stage, that is the main stage. Okay. Current affairs is prevalent here also. It is very important in this stage also. Actually, it is important in every stage. Okay, that is stage 1 prelims, stage 2 mains, stage 3 interview. Now, when I talk about the mains, this is the structure of the mains examination. Leave these two papers. One is English compulsory language and the second one is language of choice. Both these are qualifying in nature. Current affairs is not being asked here. Okay. But from here on, current affairs is being asked almost in every paper. Now, when I talk about this GS1, GS1 comprises of history of India and the world, geography, society, culture. GS2, polity and governance, social justice, IR, international relations. GS3, science and tech, economic and developmental issues, environmental issues, internal security, disaster management. And GS4 is ethics, integrity and aptitude. After this, you have a paper of essay in which you get 2 essays to write. Each essay should be of 1000 to 1200 words. And then you have this optional subject. And of one optional subject, you will be having 2 papers of 250 marks each. Now, the ones which I have encircled, are those particular subjects which are specifically part of mains. Okay, which are specifically part of mains. These are not part of prelims. Okay, but UPSC tends to ask questions from these topics in prelims as well. I'll tell you how and why. Okay, first you need to make this thing very clear that the encircled ones are topics which are not part of prelims, which are not asked in prelims as per UPSC syllabus. But yes, they are specifically part of mains, you can say. And the ones which are not encircled are part of prelims as well as mains. And one thing you need to take care very clearly, that all the subjects in general studies and prelims are part of general studies mains also. And some additional ones are part of mains, and these are the encircled ones, the additional ones. Now, current affairs is common in every subject. GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, everywhere current affairs is being asked. Questions based on current affairs will be asked. Current affairs per se, I have not mentioned it explicitly, but it is implicit in every paper. And it is implicit in essay paper also, because in essay, they ask you questions based on current events which are happening. Like in 2015, they asked you this essay on the topic, dreams that can't let India sleep. Now, where was this topic inspired from? This topic was inspired from a quote of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and that quote goes that dreams are not those which you see while sleeping, dreams are those which don't let you sleep. And the topic of the essay was dreams that can't let India sleep. And this was asked in 2015. Why? Because in 2015, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam lost his life. He ended his life. And that was a current event. And in that very year, they asked a question on this particular topic. That is a quote of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. This is how UPSC plays. Now, one more thing which I told you was that these encircled ones are not part of prelims, but still questions are being asked from these topics in prelims. Let's suppose if I pick up international relations here, it is part of mains, but questions in prelims are also being asked from this particular topic. The UPSC clearly says that I will be asking questions from current affairs in prelims. I have never said that current affairs of India only. It can be current affairs of the world. And current events of the world lie here in international relations. So this is how you have to approach, you have to connect, and this is the importance of current affairs. Now if I give you some examples from this year's prelims only, this year prelims, there was a question based on Afghanistan. Which are the bordering nations of Afghanistan? Now why did they ask this question? What is the basic mindset of UPSC for asking this question? It is simply because in 2021 there was a lot of turmoil in Afghanistan when the Taliban took over. So everyone might be studying about the Taliban, the history of Taliban, what has happened there, what is happening there. But it is also important to look towards that particular country or that particular region which is in news. You should know the geography also of that particular region. And this is where UPSC plays. Again, from this year's prelims only, there was a question on Levant. Again, a geographical location or geographical region which was in news in 2021-2022. So this is how UPSC plays and UPSC asks questions. You need to be aware, you need to open your mind while approaching current affairs, and you need to restrict yourself also between the lines. That is, you should know the syllabus, and according to the syllabus only you should be studying the current events. Like for example, I talked about Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a country, a political turmoil has happened there, the Taliban has taken over. But geography is also part of your syllabus. So you should learn about the geography also, the basic geography of that particular region, the neighboring countries, the lakes, the rivers and all, which are in news basically. So this approach should be there with you for studying current affairs. And it is not easy, and it is not impossible also. You'll have to work hard, you will have to work hard every day, and there is no alternate to success except for hard work. You just have to make sure that your hard work is well directed, your hard work is efficient. You should not close your eyes and do the hard work. You should open your eyes, you should open your mind while doing the hard work, and your hard work should be well directed, so that you get the result. Getting the result is the main thing. Okay, so you need to keep the right approach in your mind. You need to understand what kind of questions are being asked from current affairs, and then with that approach you start reading current affairs, or you start approaching current affairs. And if the approach is not right, you will be doing the hard work, you will be reading the newspapers daily, you will be revising them, you will be attending the classes, but when the exam comes, you will not be able to answer the questions. Because you read it, but you did not read it with the right approach. So we'll be talking about all these things throughout our sessions. We'll pick up topics, we'll see what approaches are needed to study it, we'll decode it, and you revise it. Now this completes stage 2. In this stage also, UPSC asks questions from current affairs, or the interview panel asks questions from current affairs. So you need to have a balanced mindset. If you have reached this particular stage, that is the stage 3 interview, you will definitely have a balanced mindset. But students, what they tend to do after clearing mains, they feel that they are the king of the world, and complacency creeps in. They stop studying the current affairs, they stop reading the newspapers. They start feeling that they know everything almost, because clearing mains is also a very, very big thing, not a small thing. But complacency should not creep in. You should not be overconfident. You should be confident but not overconfident. And confidence comes when you keep on working, when you keep on developing yourself, and overconfidence comes when you are misguided, or when you are of this view that I know everything, no need to do the hard work. That is not the right approach. And when the interviews ask you in the interview panel, you tend to lose out on that. You might be beating around the bush. You might be telling, you'll be making up your answers without exact information. So for this stage also, it is very, very important. Now what I mean to say is that current affairs is there to stay with you for every day. It is going to be an intrinsic part of your life. Reading newspapers, I know it is boring. In the beginning it seems boring. It takes a lot of time also. Now with time I will be discussing the approach to read newspapers as well. But there is no alternate to that. There is no alternate to that. That is reading newspapers. Because the kind of understanding you will develop will only happen after reading the newspapers, not before that. Okay, no magazine, no YouTube channel is going to help you. The original knowledge, the original, I would say, capacity for current affairs will only develop if you keep reading the newspapers. I will also be discussing what all things you need to keep in mind. Now, how to read current affairs? Okay, I have discussed it in brief, but explicitly here I will discuss that current affairs, or let's suppose current events, are not needed to be read in isolation. Not meant to be read in isolation means you read the current event, that is it. You think that you know the current events. You've covered current affairs. No. You need to connect the current events with the basics. And you need to connect the current events with the fringe subjects. Now, I'll give you an example to make things better for you. Let's suppose, ISRO has launched a new project. ISRO has launched a new project. It has launched a new satellite. It is a geostationary satellite. Geostationary satellites are those satellites which are revolving 36,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. And when you see them, let's suppose this is the Earth, this is the satellite, those are stationary. Those will appear stationary because the Earth is rotating and that satellite is rotating at the same pace. That is why you seem to it to be stationary, geostationary. Now this is the basics which you need to know. What is a geostationary satellite? Then connection with the fringe subjects. Let's suppose that satellite is going to do weather predictions for India. Let's suppose that satellite is going to do communication work for India also. Like information will be available to the villagers or the people in rural areas in India from the people sitting in urban areas. So it is going to have a social impact on them. Let's suppose the farmers, if they have accurate predictions of weather, they will be able to plan their crops well. Incidences of crop failure will reduce, their income will increase, socio-economic upliftment will happen in the rural areas. I was also talking about communication, that let's suppose this satellite is one of the main important functions is communication. So there is one concept called as telemedicine. in which the doctors sitting in the urban areas can treat the patients in the rural areas through satellite communication. This will improve their health care. So, this is how you need to connect the current events with the fringe subjects. And all this social upliftment or economic development, these are all your subjects. But to do that, you need a thinking mind. You obviously do not need an overthinking mind, you need a thinking mind only. And UPSC, this is one of the basic requirements to clear UPSC, that you should be a thinking mind. And if you are a thinking mind, then only you will be able to do all this. And this will bring completeness. And then if any question is being asked by UPSC, you will be able to tackle it. But if you do not, run your brain so much, if you do not have this capacity to connect these events, first of all with the basics, then with the fringe subjects, then you will always be struggling. It is this hustle which you have to do, and this hustle has to be done within time. Means if you are reading today, then today only it has to be completed. It should not be left for tomorrow. So this is the kind of hard work you need to do, particularly with respect to current affairs. And if your hard work is in this direction, definitely you will be in a better position. You will be in a better position amongst your competitors. And many of your competitors are reattempters. Those who are attempting there for the first time, many of your competitors are reattempters. So you need to get this thing right. The approach has to be correct. If the approach is not correct, then your hard work may go in vain. There are high amount of chances. Now I've listed down a few sources what you need to refer for current affairs. First is newspapers. Newspaper reading is very, very important. Do not fall into this trap of some YouTube channels or some magazines that you just read the magazines or you just watch the YouTube channels and your current affairs is prepared. It does not happen like that. Your competitors who are clearing the examination, one common thing among them, the toppers, is that they consistently read the newspapers. If some topper is saying that he has not read a newspaper even once, he or she is lying. But this is a very, very important part of your preparation, that is newspapers. And they have to be read every day. Make it a habit. You may be spending 3 hours around when you start reading newspapers. But eventually, as you get used to it, the time will reduce and it will come down to approximately 1 to 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours should be the apt time. And this time may come down if you continuously keep reading the newspapers for 2 to 3 months. For 2 to 3 months, you will be spending more time on newspapers, but eventually it will come down. But make this a point that this has to be read daily. There is no alternate for that. Now, 2 newspapers can be referred, that means either of the 2. You have to read only one newspaper and either of these 2 newspapers can be referred. These 2 newspapers are the Indian Express or the Hindu. It is up to your choice. Okay. Next is PIB, Press Information Bureau. It is basically the bureau of the government of India. So you get a good amount of information here also. So keep following it. You can download the app as well. Okay. Then Yojana, Kurukshetra. These 2 are the magazines and these 2 are issue based magazines. Yojana is a monthly magazine which has a separate issue every month. Let's suppose in one month it might be having an issue with respect to science and technology. The other month it might be having an issue with respect to the Indian economy. The next month it might be having an issue with respect to security of India. So you read that as well. And one advice from my side for approaching Yojana is that you keep collecting Yojana magazines, and in your classroom, in your regular course, let's suppose science and technology has been completed, then only pick up that science and technology issue of Yojana. Let's suppose security has been completed, then only pick up that issue of security of Yojana. Else you will not be able to understand it well. And once you have completed in your classroom these subjects, then only you are picking the Yojana magazine, you will be able to easily understand it. And one more reason to read Yojana and Kurukshetra is that you learn to write essays, because in these magazines there are 1000 to 1500 words essays for every topic which they are discussing. So you will learn, if you view it from that particular lens, you will learn that how an essay is written. So it is going to help you there as well. Now talking about this magazine Kurukshetra, it largely deals with the rural India, the issues in rural India. Issues in rural India can be issues related to agricultural productivity, the low level of healthcare infrastructure over there, the low level of education system over there, the rural infrastructure which is weak comparatively. So the rural issues are largely covered in Kurukshetra. Then you have this magazine, you can refer to it online also, the Quint. They write really good articles. Then you have another magazine, EPW we call it, Economic and Political Weekly, largely related to the social sector, economic sector, political sector news. Okay. Then you have this Science Reporter. This is also the magazine which is specifically for science and technology and environment. Then Down to Earth. This is also with respect to environmental issues plus social issues also. So you don't have to read each and every article, only those articles which are important from your syllabus point of view. And I've talked about the syllabus. Before starting current affairs or before starting your preparation, it is your responsibility to know the syllabus. Know your syllabus is the first step. Those of you who are starting their preparation, it is a golden opportunity for you that you study your syllabus in detail. It is there all over the internet. The detailed syllabus should be very much there in your head, clear. You should at least read it 25 to 30 times. I'm not joking. Those who have started their preparation and have not read the details of the syllabus, you do it today. This weekend you read your syllabus, and you have to be, concretize it in your head. You should know your syllabus from such point of view that if you are reading a newspaper, you should easily be able to identify that which news to read and which not to read. Only those news are to be read which are part of your syllabus, which has something to do with your syllabus. No masala news, no political news, no news which is not part of your syllabus, it does not have to be read. Yes, that is the reality. What I mean to say is that you do not have to read each and every part of newspaper or each and every piece of newspaper. Only that news has to be read which is part of your syllabus. And how you will come to know? If you know your syllabus, then only you will be able to identify that this has to be read or this not has to be read. Okay. So this is the basic approach. We will be covering current affairs. I will be staying with you, and I will be telling you, time and again, I will be reiterating this approach, and I will be reiterating this approach through the topics which we will be covering. And if you keep the approach right, you will make things easier for yourself. If you don't keep the approach right, you will make things difficult for yourself. That is it. Okay. So now we begin. And we will be taking a break just 10 minutes down the line, that is 10:30, and we'll be taking a break of 15 minutes, and after that we will be continuing from 10:45 till 12:15, and we'll be covering the entire current affairs of the last week. And this is what we are going to follow in the next weeks also, that there will be a 3-hour class on Saturday, and we will be covering the entire week's current affairs, that is till Friday we will be completing. Okay. So I'll be taking the doubt session in the end of the class, that is 12 o'clock. I'll be taking the doubt session from 12 to 12:15. Keep noting your doubts, and whatever we will be discussing, make a notebook of it, keep writing it. You will also be getting the PDFs, don't worry for that. But while studying or while attending the class, if you are writing, you get a better understanding of the topics. Okay, and if you are not writing, your understanding will become vague as compared to the ones who are writing.